So we've got some news coast to coast here in the United States, and we're going to take a look at what's going on in Florida. We're going to be taking a look at what's going on in New York, and we're going to be taking a look at what's going on in Washington. All three are not good, and so we might as well go ahead and cover all three today. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Zach, the Wretched Watchman. Thank you for joining me today. And yeah, I'm bringing you a little bit of news, basically coast to coast on this one. Rather than just making three individual videos, I thought I'd just go ahead and throw all three of these news things together into one, because all three are just some new laws and some new regulations and stuff that are coming through again from Washington, Florida, and New York, and none of them are good, and they're all pushing an agenda, whether it's in your face or whether it may be a little bit hidden under the guise of trying to be to save the kids type of thing. So we're going to be taking a look at all three of these things today, and it's no surprise that we're constantly seeing more and more laws, more and more regulations and mandates, and all these things rolling through the different states. Some of them are coming in the way of being good, and some of them are just coming in the way of head-scratchingly stupid. But when you actually look at what they're trying to do, it makes sense from that angle. But just from anybody just looking at it, it's head-scratchingly stupid. But anyways, let's just go ahead and dive into this. We're going to go ahead and start in New York. This is one of the latest things coming out here on March 27th. It says the MTA board adopts central business district toll rates. And basically what's going on with this is New York has now adopted a toll if you want to drive into the Manhattan area in the name of the environment and climate change. That's right. They are continuing to do this. And now it's a tax for carbon if you want to enter a certain part of New York. Wow. Amazing, right? Let's go ahead and read this. This is coming from the MTA website itself. This is an announcement from there. It says, following a robust public comment period in which the MTA received 25,600 written comments and heard from 386 speakers at 4 public hearings, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA board, in its capacity as the board of the Tri-Borough Bridge and Tunnel Authority, today approved central business district toll rates by a vote of 11-1. Well, we understand that one is I don't know, he's just going against it. I guess it's like the toothbrushes from the dentist, 3 and 5 dentists. He's just trying to stand out, I guess. But it goes on to say passenger vehicles and small commercial vehicles, sedans, SUVs, pickup trucks, and small vans paying with a valid Easy Pass will be charged $15 during the day and $3.75 at night when there's less congestion to enter the congestion relief zone in Manhattan below 60th Street. They will be charged no more than once per day. So if you want to drive into a certain part of Manhattan, you're going to have to pay to do it. Now, there's multiple aspects to this. First of all, they're trying to cut back on personal vehicles. They want everybody using public transportation. This is part of the WEF agenda that they were doing. If you go back to the 10 different predictions for the future, these predictions are actually things that they're working on. They want more public transportation, nobody to own a vehicle. So we're stepping into that. That's one. Two, we got the environment aspect of this, the climate change aspect, the environment. We got to save the climate change, carbon type of thing. This is rolled up into, if you want to look at the spiritual aspect, mystery, religion. They're using this agenda to forward the beast system. Remember, mystery rides the beast in, and so we got the climate agenda going on this as well. And three, if we take a look, we're getting a glimpse at. It says the congestion relief zone in Manhattan below 60th Street. We're getting a glimpse at districts, at restricted zones. If you notice, or your 15-minute cities, or however you want to look at it, they're starting to split things up into districts. If you want to pass into another district, you're going to have to not only identify yourself, the Easy Pass, but then you're also going to have to pay to do it as well. So we're getting a trifecta here of things going on with this new thing that they're trying to push in. And if this becomes successful, if this is just a preliminary test, Get ready for this to start going even further. Let's keep going on this, shall we? Since trucks and some buses will be charged a toll of $24 or $36 during the day to enter the congestion relief zone in Manhattan below 60th Street, depending on their size and function. That means the bus people and the truck people are going to be charged, or the companies are going to be charged for this. And guess what? They're not going to pay for that out of pocket. No, that's going to get passed on to the consumer. So yeah, you're going to be paying for that, depending on their size and function, and $6 or $9 at night. The toll for motorcycles will be $7.50 during the day and $1.75 at night. Yellow taxi, green cab, and black car passengers will pay $1.25 toll per every trip. Every single trip. You're going to start seeing taxis who are going to refuse to go between these zones, and they're going to stay in their zones in order to avoid these fees. This is just how it's going to go. Every trip to, from, or within or through the zone, customers of app-based hire vehicles like Uber and Lyft and whatnot will pay $2.50. That's going to get tacked onto the customer as well. As previously proposed, qualifying authorized emergency vehicles and qualifying vehicles carrying people with disabilities will be exempt, of course, as will school buses contracted with the New York City Department of Education, Department of Indoctrination. That's more like it. Buses provided scheduled commuter services open to the public. Commuter vans licensed from the NYC Taxi and Limousine Commission, and specialized government vehicles. And it says, today's vote is one of the most significant the board has ever undertaken, and the MTA is ready, said MTA Chair and CEO Jano Liba. I guess that's how you pronounce that. That's the best you're going to get from me. In advance of 1 day of tolling, we've increased service. Here we go. Increased service on 12 subway lines. They are starting to herd these people into the public transportation. Advanced redesigns of the entire NYC bus network and implemented the largest service increase in LIRR history. And there's more to come with the funds raised from congestion pricing. More accessible stations, modernized subway signals, and new expansion projects like Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway and Metro North Penn Station Axios. I don't know why I said that weird. I just did. Deal with it. But ultimately, this is what we got going on. We've got a three-pronged attempt here. Maybe there's more to it that I'm not seeing, but I'm seeing three things here. You got the climate aspect, ride the beast in. You've got the public transportation, funnel everybody in the public transportation and reduce personal vehicles. And then number three, they're starting to split up into districts. Get ready for New York. I would say New York is probably going to follow again with a second congestion zone before maybe we start seeing it hit other states and other cities as well. But this is definitely something that they're going to continue to do. Slippery slope. You start letting this stuff in, and they're going to start forcing people, start corralling people into the agenda that they want to do. This is not going to be good. If you're in New York and your boots on the ground down there, maybe comment or send me an email. Let me know what's going on as far as that goes, and if you're hearing anything else for a possible second zone. So that's what's going on in New York. Now let's head over to the other side of the United States and see what's going on in Washington, shall we? Coming from the Spokesman Review in Spokane, Washington, it says Supreme Court's bar exam will no longer be required to become an attorney in Washington state. That's right. Now attorneys won't even need to pass a bar exam, prove that they are fit to represent people for law. And they're just going to go ahead and handing this over to people in the name of diversity. They understand that they have dumbed down society so much that they're going to have to go ahead and start making it available for everybody else to join in the name of diversity. That's right. Not to mention they're paving the way for AI lawyers and judges as well, because we've already seen that they are working on such, and some countries are already utilizing it. That's right. Let's keep going on this, though. It says the bar exam will no longer be required to become a lawyer in Washington. The state Supreme Court ruled in a pair of orders Friday. The court approved alternate ways to show competency. I don't think it's going to be as competent as they're leading on, and earn a law license after appointing a task force to examine the issue in 2020. The Bar Licensure Task Force found that the traditional exam disproportionately and unnecessarily blocks marginalized group. There it is. There's your social justice. Marginalized groups from becoming practicing attorneys, and is at best minimally effective. minimally effective at, making sure that the best receive their bar. Like, anyways, this is just ridiculous. For ensuring competency, according to a news release from the Washington Administrative Office of the Courts, Washington is the second state to not require the bar exam, following Oregon, which implemented the change at the start of this year. Yikes. Other states, here we go, guys, get ready, including Minnesota, Nevada, South Dakota, and Utah, are examining alternate pathways to licensure. Let's keep going. So how will you be able to do it if you don't want to pass the bar? Well, there will be 3 experiential learning alternatives to the bar exam, each for people following a different path of legal study. The specifics, scale, and implementation plan for the pathways have yet to be developed. So they say it's law school graduates can complete a 6-month apprenticeship while being supervised and guided by a qualified attorney, along with finishing 3 courses. Law students can become practice ready by completing 12 qualifying skills credits and 500 hours of work as a licensed legal intern. Upon completion of those requirements, they would submit a portfolio of that work to waive the bar exam. And lastly, law clerks can become lawyers without enrolling in law school by completing standardized educational materials and benchmarks under the guidance of a mentoring attorney, along with the 500 hours of work as a licensed legal intern. I have another suggestion. How about all 3 of those situations? You study law and then pass the bar exam. How about that? I mean, since some of you are already involved in the court system some way, you already got a leg up when it comes to studying. So it shouldn't be too much difficult for you to do. That's how people do what they do, night school, night classes, or doing things online and whatnot. It's a way to, advance your career, work hard, study hard, do that type of thing. But no, they're just trying to waive all that and make it as easy as possible for unqualified people to go in there and practice law. If you're in Washington or Oregon or any of those states that are starting to implement this type of thing, you better not be looking for a lawyer. Or the first question I'd be asking was, did you do it the old school way or the new school way? Again, this has to do with more of the social justice type of stuff, the dumbing down of society, which we clearly see that in effect right now, as well as paving the way for AI lawyers as well. If you can't trust a human lawyer because they are unfit and unqualified for the position, well, you might hire an AI one instead. Something to think about. But that's what's going on in Washington and apparently Oregon and Minnesota and Nevada and Utah and South Dakota and stuff like that. It's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. Now, so we took a look at New York, what's going on there. We took a look at what's going on in Washington. Let's jump back over to the East Coast again and take a look at what's going on in Florida. Now, this is something that I did a video on. This was a week or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere in there. I can't remember. There's just so much going on. Sorry, guys. But I did a video on this where it was the Florida, the Senate, I guess they passed, it passed through the Senate that it was good to go for a law to keep kids off of social media. And it was vetoed by Ron DeSantis. Well, an updated version of that made it all the way through, which Ron DeSantis did indeed pass. So let's take a look at this. It says Florida's DeSantis signs one of the country's most restrictive social media bans for minors. This was on March 25th. Yep, March 25th. So out of Florida's coming from AP Associated Press, Florida will have one of the country's most restrictive social media bans for minors. If it withstands expected legal challenges, of course, it's still got to go through all that stuff. Under a bill signed by Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis on Monday, the bill will ban, here we go, the bill will ban social media accounts for children under 14 and require parental permission for 14 and 15-year-olds. It was slightly watered down from the proposed DeSantis vetoed earlier this month, which I did the video on, a week before the annual legislative session ended. The new law was Republican Speaker Paul Renner's top legislative priority. It takes effect January 1st. Okay. I saved this one for last because this is the tricky one, because I got to try and make sure we see the whole thing going on here. Okay, so first of all, see, this is where it gets difficult because in a nutshell, social media is toxic. It's a poison cesspool, a viper den. It's nothing good comes from social media. I'm on board with that. I get it. I understand it. Trust me, I used to be on a few social media sites, and man, not only was I feeling the effects of it, but I could just see the it was a cesspool in there. And then I left, and I'm glad I did. I feel much better. Yeah, that's for sure. But I get it. I get that aspect, because you look at it from this way. Yes, it's good. Keep the kids off that da da da. But here's where we start stepping into stuff again. Slippery slope. We start stepping into things. First of all, this is what I would deem a parent law. And parent laws, it's not the responsibility of the government to be your parent, whether you're a kid or an adult. It's not the responsibility. The other things that I deem parent laws are things like seatbelt and helmet laws and stuff like that. If you want to take the risk, it is your life. You have every right to do so. But the government steps in as Big Daddy and says, no, you're not going to do that. And then they do a parent law. It's basically just a way to make money. That's ultimately what it is. It's a tax battery. But this is part of that. Rather than allowing parents to be parents, which in today's society, good luck finding parents that actually want to be parents. There's still some out there. Not saying everybody, but few and far between. But it's still the parents' job to determine if they want their kids on social media or not, and then doing the things to prevent such things. So this is not the government's responsibility. Second of all, and this is where I really made an emphasis on the last time I talked about this, and the last time I talked about Josh Hawley, who was also trying to do the same thing as well. You're going to have to scan in and verify your ID to do this. You're essentially, and some people are saying, well, the government already gave you ID anyways. Da, 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 da. Well, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact of now you are creating a version, a type of digital ID by scanning that in and doing it. They are now attaching you. There's no being anonymous anymore online, which is one of the main points of being online. You can be anonymous, you can be whatever you want and type of thing, which I could go either way. I'm not going to go there. But you're now getting rid of that, and you now have a footprint, an online footprint that is going to track what you say, what you do, and who you are at all times. Whether it's the parent scanning their thing in, or if it's a 16, 17-year-old, however old it is, if you're scanning it in, you are now attached to it. That's one step closer to social credit score. One step closer. And so under the disguise of we're trying to protect the children, the same children that all these congressmen and stuff are getting popped for being pedophiles and whatnot. We're trying to protect the children. No, you're not. You're using that to fool people, to win over people in order to bring in another step of digital ID and social credit score. That is what is ultimately going on. And guess what? Ron DeSantis signed it in. Y'all still think it's not political theater? Because it is. So that's how we need to look at that. That's the thing, is you got to peel back. It's like an onion. You got to peel back the layers and see what's really going on. And at the heart of this thing, that's what's really going on. So, but yeah, those are a couple things going coast to coast on what we got going on with New York and their district and carbon stuff. And then you've got Washington that's basically just throwing the law book out the window and lighting it on fire. And then you've got the disguise of protect the kids, but it's actually in the form of digital ID and a step towards social credit score. So that's what we got going on. So just thought I'd let you guys see some of the stuff that's happening. And yeah, just continue to look up, guys. Don't be fooled by what's going on out there. Continue to recognize what they're trying to do. And continue, of course, the main thing we got to do is share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Don't fear, don't worry, don't doubt. He's gotten us this far, and he's certainly not going to leave us now. Nope, he's coming soon, which means our clock to share the gospel with as many people as we can is getting shorter. So make that your priority. All right, I'm Zach, the Wretched Watchman. Thank you guys for joining me today. And yeah, get out there and share the gospel of Jesus Christ with as many people as you can. Peace out. Maranatha.